Hey everyone. So we're gonna talk about how Oracle are becoming more and more subjective. So you can see we are starting to things which do not require an Oracle. So for example, a crypto to crypto swap, it's fully automated. You exchange one token for another one, and here you don't even need an Oracle. Then we start to get Oracle, specifically price Oracle, for example, for liquidations. And here we have a price which is mainly objective, and you just have to return the price that you see on some exchanges, on some dexes, and that's the value which is returned on the Oracle. But now with the rise of prediction markets, we see way more subjective questions, which sometimes start not that subjective, like who won the election. Most people do agree who won an election. But it's starting already to be way more subjective. So we had this dispute with Zelensky, was he wearing a suit or not? This was very subjective. Like I think there were good points on both sides. And on some of my recent work, we are trying to evaluate contribution of project for Ethereum, for example, and this is very, very subjective. And even more subjective, we're gonna, in some prediction markets, use Oracle to determine how much someone likes something, which is probably the highest level of subjectivity we can have. For that, obviously, you have to understand prediction markets. So prediction market basic, you can have a market which asks, will Zelensky wear a suit? You put some die, and now you get some yes token, some no token, and the token of the correct outcome is gonna be redeemable for the die. And when you see the price of those tokens, you can deduce what is the implied probability of Zelensky wearing a suit or not wearing a suit. So, do you think it's a suit or not? Okay, let's raise your hand. If you think it's a suit, raise your hand if you think it's a suit. Okay, let's raise your hand if you don't think it's a suit, if you think it's not a suit. Okay, here. And so we had those disputes with two different oracles, with both Yuma and Kleros. And on one side, Yuma ruled that it was not a suit, and Kleros ruled that it was a suit. Obviously, I'm from Kleros and I'm biased, but I will even argue that even like Yuma is not really wrong there. Like I think it was pretty ambiguous. They did not expect it to get this kind of like war suit to the meeting, and probably neither of those oracles is broken, even if they answer differently. So going to more subjective, still with prediction markets. So you have this article of Robin Hanson, which proposed to make some prediction market where they will ask people later whether they regretted a decision or not. So this is obviously super subjective, but you may still want an oracle, because if you let people simply report what they want, they may just game those markets and trade on those markets themselves. So to get those kind of subjective assessment of whether you like something, whether something contributed a lot, we have to introduce scalar markets. So here you continue with the idea of prediction market, but here, for example, let's say what will be the inflation in 2026. You can have some up token, some down token, and if you put a range, and if it's above the range, so if it's above 10%, the up token will redeem. If it's below 0%, the down token will redeem. But then if you have something in the middle, both will redeem proportionally. So here, if you have inflation of 8%, the up redeem for 80%, and the down redeem for 20%. And then when you look at the price of the up token, you can deduce that the market is estimating that you will get the 8% inflation. So scalar markets. And this brings to those new type of prediction markets, which are distilled human judgment. So we can ask which movie I will watch. This market is not to be traded, it's just a preliminary market. And then we take the outcome token on those markets, and we ask what will be the rating that I will rate those movies. So Alien, Barbie, Catch Me, Demolition Man, like you don't know which movie I will watch, but then you can trade on whether I will like them if and if only I watch them. And at the end of the day, we need to resolve those markets. So here we had those two. Oh, something disappeared. So here we had those two movies that I actually watch. So I give a rating of 80%, I give a rating of 65%, and then those tokens redeem according to the rating that I gave. So here I'm the oracle. You can see the interface, which is developed by the Kleros cooperative, which allows to trade on my own rating of movie conditionally if I watch them. And obviously, I will probably watch the movie that the market is estimating I will really like them. And yeah, like classic prediction markets, you can see some trading chart. And if you think something is undervalued, and I would really like it a lot, like maybe I may like the Ethereum movie because you know I'm a Ethereum fan, so you may want to buy these tokens. And if I end up watching it, then you can make some profit if I really like it. And if I don't watch it, it's completely neutral for you. Use cases. Well, you know, like a lot of what we have on the internet nowadays is trying to predict how someone will like something or someone will react to something which is displayed to them. Will you like this movie? Will you click on this ad? So it's a lot of those kind of optimization problem which can be solved with those subjective markets. And here, the oracle, the subjective oracle, is the feedback of the user, whether they like something, whether they click on something, and that's how you resolve those markets, not with a very objective oracle where you just pull some data from different sources. Same here, like you have the main conference. You can ask, oh, if I go in this particular restaurant, what will be the rating that I will give this restaurant? And then you can use that to pick up the restaurant that you are likely to give the highest rating if you go there. So yeah, like it's still an oracle problem because again, like if you just let people report what they want, yeah, like you will get some bad actors. So discussing with Robin Hanson blog, like someone say, hey, I'm just gonna report whatever he's giving me the most money. And yeah, but there is two answers to that. First one is that you may still allow disputes. So you let people report, and by default, you consider the report correct. But if someone say, oh, I really, really, really like this movie, and then they reported on their profile that they did not like this movie, but on the social media, they say that they like it, well, in this case, you can still have classical disputes. And here you will need to have subjective evidence of what the person say and whether or not the report was honest. But even without the possibility of dispute, people may still have long-term incentive into reporting truthfully. Because if you start to report falsely, well, all the algorithms are going to look at your false report and they're going to be trained with those false reports. So they're going to give you a pretty bad prediction. Yeah, like the rating that you will see, the estimation of what you will like will start to become pretty bad. So I agree that if you had only one market and you were to give only one feedback, you may have an incentive to just trade the market and get money for yourself. But here we are in some continued game, and maybe you like extract some money from one market if you do that, but then the recommendation system is not going to work as well for you in the other markets. So on the long term, it tends to be incentive aligned to report what you actually really like or dislike. Another experiment that we have now with subjective oracle is deep funding. And here it's starting to be a bit more complicated because it's not just one person which will report their subjective evaluation of whether a project is good, but it's a lot of different jurors, and we use that to resolve prediction markets. So basic idea of deep funding is you have Ethereum, and Ethereum depend on some project that you can see in level 1. And then those projects, they have a share of value which is created by the project itself, and a share which is created by dependencies, so that's the level 2. And then level 3, you have what are the share of those dependencies, what are the share of those projects in the dependencies contributing to this project. So here, like B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B6, what is the share of contribution of B1 to the B project? And if you manage to get a full graph like that, you are able to reward people contributing to the Ethereum ecosystem because you can flow value from Ethereum to B. One part is kept for the B team, then it flows down, etc., etc. And you can incentivize people making projects for Ethereum, but not just for Ethereum, people making project for project which are doing stuff for Ethereum, and this so on and so on and so on and deep. So what do we do for that? First, we have a ground truth, and again, we can never access it. That's what it's subjective. And we have juror, which will estimate this ground truth, whether a project is contributing a lot or not. And then we make a prediction market to estimate the estimation of the juror. So you may wonder why you want to add this prediction market. And a few of the answers is that juror cannot just evaluate all of the project, and you do conditional market. You ask what will be the estimate if this particular project end up being evaluated. And again, like you get those conditional markets, you don't know which project will be evaluated, so you trade all of those projects, assuming that they will be. And at the end of the day, maybe only one project is evaluated, and that is what is going to determine your profit and loss as a trader. And obviously, those traders, they are using some machine learning algorithm to be able to trade on hundreds of markets at once. So yeah, so you have the weight of the first level, you have the weight here. And the first level, you tend to always resolve the market, but on the second level and on the third level, only a small fraction of those will actually end up resolving, and that's how you can scale the human judgment. So in practice, how does it look for the juror? Here, it's not Kleros juror, it's like juror design by people of the Eastern Foundation. We ask them, which project do you prefer? And maybe they tell yes lint, and then you ask by which factor, maybe yes lint by 256 times, more important than Babel. And we have all of those comparisons between projects, and then the end goal is to turn that into a coherent set of weight. So how can we do that? We have some pretty old tech to the rescue on the analysis of subjective judgment matrices. So we have all those multipliers. This project is X times more important than this other project. And we want to find a set of weight, which is first going to sum to 1, obviously, and which is going to minimize the error in the log domain. So what is the error? So for example, if you have a project A, which has a weight of 0.1, and project B, which has a weight of 0.5, then the set of weight predict that B will be 5 times more important than A. And if you have a juror which say B is 6 times more important than A, then you have this small error. And overall, you will not be able to fit perfectly the data, but you will be able to minimize the error into a consistent set of weight. Again, this can be traded. You can see even some people sometimes try to manipulate those markets. Here, like they were trying to put ACT at a very high value, while ACT is the project that I think most of you never heard about. But after, people are going to counter trade those, and it's going to go back to normal values. So that's pretty interesting because we can see that the prediction market over time became better and better at predicting the evaluation of the juror, which were not accessible to the market and the participant. And we, at the end, compared this model with a model created on another competition, which was simply like a Kaggle-like competition on Pond. And the market was performing better than the best model from the other competition. But to take with a grain of salt, the competition was not optimizing for the exact same criterion. So we will need more research where we are in a very comparable conditions. And still subjective, we ask the juror whether they preferred the weight which were produced by the market or the weight produced by combining the model of the competition. And 2/3 of them said that they prefer the weight of the market compared to the weight of the competition. So yeah, so thanks everyone for listening. And we're going to go on questions on subjective Oracle. Any question? Yeah.
A world or use case for prediction markets on prediction markets. So you have prediction markets on jurors outcome, individual jurors outcomes, but I guess in principle you could have prediction markets on the prediction markets on those jurors outcome.
Prediction, you wanted to add an extra prediction market there?
Well, I guess you could have an infinitely recursive number of prediction markets, but is there anything useful
I don't really see how adding another prediction market helps, because the other prediction markets. Oh, I see. Okay, you will be. Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
I want to bet whether the poly market for the president of Ukraine wearing a suit will go a certain way without actually betting whether or not he will wear a suit.
Okay. I see the point. And there may be some value to that in the sense that you can have a first market which can resolve before the final market. Obviously, if you have to resolve both markets at once, they will have the exact same resolution, right? But you could use it as a way to early resolve markets, but you probably want the market on the market to be lower liquidity than the initial market, because otherwise you create incentive in manipulating the first market to resolve the second market. Any last questions? Okay, so thanks everyone, and see if you have more questions or ID, go see me after the talk.